Hey everyone, in today's video we've got an Onkyo TX 2500. This thing was only 50 bucks at Goodwill. And in my defense, I thought the rain had passed, but it started back up again. So let's take a closer look at this right now. Now a vintage Onkyo is something I've actually never seen before until this thing. This is the model 2500. It's a pretty average powered, I think 30 something watts per channel. Very basic receiver. You've got your standard controls. We're missing a cover on our switch there. No mid control, but we've got high filter, mono stereo, loudness. No low filter, kind of interesting. So pretty bare bones, pretty basic receiver. And there it is, $49.99, electronics. I'm really curious to see how this thing looks when it's turned on. You want to get wet? What do you think of the wet? Cats love getting wet. Let's see, what does he think? Oh, he accepts. See how much longer he wants to be out here. He's looking like he regrets his decision. Oh, that's because he's looking right at that bird right there. Not for you, boy. You're not gonna make it. Anyways, this thing's in okay shape. The top is a little dirty. We'll have to clean that off. We're told multiple times about the $50 price tag. And then in the back, not too much going on. We've got the, what do you think, buddy? You trying to get out of here? You gonna take a shortcut on the table? You're not fit for this, bud. You shouldn't be out here. It's too wet. Yeah, pretty nice open layout back here. Interesting that they don't have the negatives both in the middle and the positives on the outside edges. Like most receivers, you've got negative, positive, negative, positive. And they're also staggered, which is something I don't think I've ever seen before. That actually makes a lot of sense if you think about it. Yeah, see, now the rain stopped. So let's get this thing inside, power it up, see what happens. And this here wetness provides the perfect opportunity for our first initial wipe down. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty dirty. Use a little bit more of that on the faceplate here. Wow, looks brand new already. How about that? And we certainly don't need all these stickers anymore. Looks like they secured some of them with packaging tape. Hopefully that comes off okay. Mostly. Now I understand why. One more. And I don't like that one. So like I said, I'm quite curious to see what this thing looks like when it's turned on and if all the lamps work and whatnot. So I've got it plugged into the wall. Let's see what happens. Oh. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, I'm plugged in and we're getting absolutely nothing. And that is a very significant power button. Probably one of the most significant power buttons I've seen on a receiver of this vintage. Let's flip it around and check the fuse. There we are, AC line. What's in here? There's nothing in there. No fuse. Interesting. It's odd that you'd find it this way. Normally with a Goodwill, you would think they would have tested it and noted that it's not working and not marked it at $50. But there's no fuse in there. You'll notice it wants a 3 amp slow blow, but I have fast blows. And given the fact that the fuse is missing, I don't think I'd want to put a slow blow in there. I think I'd rather have a fast blow. So let's screw that back in. And if you are going to do this properly, you would put this on the dim bulb and see what happens there. But the fanfare for YouTube is more fun when you do this and see if it works blindly. So obviously we have not blown the fuse, we have just turned it on. I thought this was going to be blue face, but it's not. It's more of a whiter face, and we have plenty of burnt out lamps. You can see probably the one for the tuning meter is out, and then if this is anything like a Marantz or Pioneer, there's 4 or 5 lamps in there, maybe 6. Looks like maybe only one of them is working. We are still turned on. The next thing we're going to want to do is check our speaker terminals for any DC offset happening at the speaker terminals. If there's a lot of DC voltage here, we'll know that there is something wrong with the amplifier, but if there's, just a few millivolts, we know we're in good shape. We're set to A and B speakers, so any of these terminals should do. Let's check these guys right here. And we see that we've got basically nothing, which seems almost too good to be true to me. And then over here, once again, nothing. Whenever I see 0 volts DC offset on something like this, I get suspicious. It makes me think maybe something just isn't connected, or like something's not working right. Because there's always something, right? How could it be 0? How could it be that perfect, And these B speakers are exhibiting the exact same thing, which is what I would expect. The next thing we can do is set this to AC volts. We can turn on the FM tuner on this thing and see if we get any AC voltage out of the speaker terminals with the volume turned up. And it would appear we do. We get like 1.4 volts AC with whatever volume I have it set to. 1.3 over here. You would expect those to be a more similar number. I'm going to hold these in place while turning the volume. If I turn it down, see, now this is interesting. I'm turning the volume all the way up, and I'm turning it all the way down. And we're just getting a good old 1.6 and 1.3, so, or 1.5 now. So that tells me something's very wrong in here. We also never heard a relay click. I don't know if there is a relay in this receiver. Even if there were sound coming out of this, and I am tuned to a station and I've got stereo, you would expect that number to be jumping up and down quite a bit because, that's how music is. It's not a consistent signal like that. And we're not seeing any of that. Very quickly, I'll just put a speaker up to it, see if I hear anything at all. Yeah. Absolutely nothing out of the speaker terminals. So there it is. I was right to be weirded out by 0 millivolts DC offset. So something's wrong. We gotta figure it out. Let's pull the cover. Alright, come take a look inside of here. So pretty basic setup here. We've got, power transformer, filter capacitors. Obviously it's direct coupled because there's 2 filter capacitors. If it were capacitor coupled, you'd see one big one of those and then maybe 2 larger ones over here, which is the power amplifier and power supply section. Right here is your power supply. You can see your bridge rectifier noted by those massive diodes with those ceramic capacitors and a bunch of capacitors sitting around. Then over here, this is the power amplifier because it's got a bunch of wires coming off of it going to these guys over here. What are these? These are your output transistors. They're bolted to a heat sink because they get hot, because they do the audio thing. Over here, tuner, because it looks kind of random and there's wires from the tuner cap going to it. Then down here, preamplifier. We have not seen the bottom of the receiver yet, but we will get there. I'm a little surprised how clean it is in here. I thought it was going to be way dustier and worse than it actually is, but it actually looks half decent in here. Upon initial visual inspection, I do not see any exploded capacitors, but I haven't looked very closely yet. One thing I did notice is tell me if that looks right to you, this pulley and how it's sitting on the tuning cap. I was playing with the FM tuner earlier. I guess I can turn it back on. I was trying to get it to tune to a station, for testing the audio output. And like everything I did, it was just acting really bizarre. You can kind of see the meter's moving weirdly. Like, I'll get it to do one thing and I can't really get it to go back. And I know why now. See, I'm doing this, and our little wheel is turning, but our cap is not. So what's going on with that? I mean, look at this. This is terrible. I mean, look how much travel I have to do before I can even consider moving this thing. And then yeah, it's just, that's wild. That's really, really bad. So Akio's losing some quality points with me here. The Marantz Pioneer tuners, that never happens. Also a notable thing, I do not see a speaker protection relay, which means I should not be expecting to hear a speaker protection relay, which means this thing may have protection in some other way. At this point, it probably behooves us to look at a schematic and see what is happening with the signal path here. Why is nothing getting to the speaker terminals? Let's take a look. Alright, not so fast. I did not have the FM muting turned off correctly. So that is how you turn it off. So it was on and it was muting everything. And then I looked at the power amplifier board and you see right here, L and R in. So that's where your signal goes in. So what did I do? I put the multimeter to AC and I measured between those and ground. So I'll hook this one up to the chassis. So watch the multimeter. I put this on the left and then I raise up the volume. Oh, would you look at that? I get things. Put it on the right, raise the volume. Oh, what do you know? I get things. So then I took this and I went to the speaker terminals, which are back here. Here's your left. Oh wow, lots of things. I can get up to 22 volts. Then right channel, same deal. So maybe there is some crazy world where we have perfect DC offset. Let's take that speaker again. These wires here, let's see what we hear. Yep. That is FM radio static. Out of both channels. So that's pretty cool. I guess I'll check DC offset one more time before I actually plug the speaker in. Yeah, see, 4 millivolts, that's more like it. I don't really know what I was doing earlier. 2, even that is more normal than what we were seeing before. Maybe that is what we were seeing before. I don't know. Let's plug in our speakers. So we've got the one. I'll turn it up. Let's see if I can. There it is.
Being implemented. This means women are receiving better medical care, better
well, look at this.
Surrounding pregnancy.
I can't change the station. Oh, there we go. Now it's moving. See, I keep trying to adjust the station, but it's not working very well. And I actually figured out. Take a look over here. This tuner problem is a lot more complicated than I thought it was going to be. Watch it's a gearbox issue. It's not a pulley on the shaft thing. Like, something is bent so bad. Like, see? Look at that right there. We're turning the pulley just fine, but like the gears aren't meshing. That's crazy. I've never seen that before. Normally that's not a problem at all. So that'll be an interesting challenge to overcome. Let me know if you've seen anything like that in the comments. This is just wild to me. I suppose outside of that, we've got to hear everyone's favorite song with both speakers. This is one of those weird receivers that doesn't have an aux port. You gotta use the tape monitor switches to use aux, per se. But anyways, there it is. I feel like this doesn't have any business working as well as it is right now, given the general condition. I don't know why there was no fuse in this thing. That doesn't make any sense to me. My God, is that dirty? Listen to that. So that'll need a cleaning. Bass, extremely dirty. Treble, extremely dirty. Balance, so dirty I don't hear it working. Look how bent that shaft is. That'll take some finagling. I don't know. Overall, pretty good buy, gotta say. This isn't gonna need much. It's gonna need a controls cleaning. It's gonna need that dealt with, which could be a whole project. But 0 volts DC offset. That's really interesting. We'll have to check the BIOS later. Why was the fuse missing? I don't know. So I guess we can get started with the controls cleaning. So controls cleaning should be quite simple on this thing. As you can see, we have pretty easy access to all of the controls. It's a little dark in there, but you can see the push button switches, the rest of the potentiometers. I've got space to get all my deoxit in there. And then even these switches up here, they've got some shafts going all the way back here. They even left a nice opening underneath the tuning cap so you can clean out those switches as well. So I'm going to get to work on that, and we'll test it out again once that's done. I gotta say, controls cleaning really brought this thing back to life. Everything's sounding quite good now. Looks like we still have a little bit of work to do with our left channel. I hear that going in and out a little bit, but I don't know exactly what's responsible for that just yet. Might be this speaker switch, because as I jiggle it around, we get things going in and out. Now, I want to move on to the tuner cap, because I looked a little more closely and it's an interesting situation. I'm not so sure that this shaft is bent. I think it might be a bad bushing inside, because look at this. So if I can roll it to here, look at this, look what I can do. I can actually move that entire shaft, and it's as if I had these two gears meshing properly. I'd be able to use this as is, right? But we're only able to get out to about there with our tuner. So now, if I can move it up like that, and there I've reached the end of my travel on the string, but if I go back, see, look, it stops, then you can do it again. So it's an odd set of problems we're having here. So I think I'm going to take this thing off with these two screws right here, and I'll see what exactly is going on. But, you know, that's a very scary thing to do, because it might break. They don't feel like they really want to move. Maybe that's because I was using a number 1 when I should have been using a number 2. There we are. And we'll rotate up here. And then I can get this one. So there, that's going to come off now. I'll take some Scotch tape and I'll just kind of tape the string there, so maybe I can prevent myself from having to do a restring. Because I've done plenty of restrings on the channel before, but it's a pain in the butt, you know? So there's that. Put that off to the side. And look at that. That ain't right. So, oh, it's even simpler than I thought. So that comes right out. Interestingly. Looks like there's some flats milled into the shaft on either side. That looks like an intentional machine job. I don't think that's wear. So I've wiped that off. It's definitely an intentional milling of those. So that's how we mesh with that gear there. But oh, okay. So if I go all the way in, oh, are these two different diameters? So there's that. If I push that all the way in, it looks like I'm okay. But then that locks it. This should be all the way in. That probably shouldn't be moving around so much. And then this little piece right here, we have some more rotation in our cap to go before that should be doing anything at all. I do not like this piece at all. I really don't like it. I don't really understand the point of it. It seems the point of it would be to prevent over-rotation of this tuning cap, but the cap does that on its own without it. So why is that even in there? I don't understand that. Let's see if we can take that out. And then here's our gear. So yeah, this shaft was just out. All I had to do was push it back in or something. Because once it's in, there's no play. It was out like this. It centers itself with the rest of the cap in there, and that keeps it straight. And then once it's like this, it wiggles. So I took that weird stopper piece out. Does this work without it? We need to have something holding that in place. I don't know, I'd call that a pretty big win though. All I have to do is once I get a bushing in there, I just put this back on and we're good to go. I like that. And while that's all taken apart, and I can just move it like this with my hand, don't have to use the string or anything, I can just clean it with the CRC electronics cleaner. Just move that. Like that. Excellent. That'll probably help our reception a little bit. And that's a lot easier than playing with the tuning knob. And when we do this, we want to let this dry before we try doing anything with the tuner, because the liquid in there affects the capacitance of that. So if you're going to do an FM alignment, you might as well wait till the next day when all that stuff is evaporated. But we're not going to be doing an FM alignment on this. We're just going to, you know, line up the string and needle the best we can and call that good, because it seems to be working pretty well. So that's my approach there. All right, folks, we've got parts. Number one, lamps from Dave. Dave informed me that he is slowly winding down his lamp business. So this is the last time I will mention dgwojo.com in a video. Thank you, Dave, so much for your years, even beyond when I started, years of serving this community and being an excellent source of lamps for everything. Like, you email Dave anything and he's got the lamp for it. It's pretty incredible. So wishing him the best in his future retirement endeavors. And the second thing, a seller on eBay was selling a knob that can replace this one. So now we've got knobs that match. So there you go. Now we've got all the knobs here. We can throw this in the garbage. So this means we can get started with relamping this thing. I elected to use incandescent lamps as the replacements. So let's see what we've got here. We've got one for our tuner pointer, which I don't think works at all. We've got our 3 indicators, which all 3 of our indicators work. And it looks like it might be maybe a huge problem to replace those. We'll see. And then we've got the fuse lamps right here, plus some fun little extras. Dave always gives me little extra lamps. And I almost forgot, the third and final thing, I figured out what to do with this tuner cap here. You can see I can't pull this out anymore. When I pulled this shaft out, I noticed there's a little slit in it that would fit a circlip or E-clip very well. So I bought an E-clip assortment kit. I believe it was the 1/8 inch one. So yeah, like, you know, little tiny circlip, and just really carefully, I'll try to zoom in and show you. You can see it in there. It's kind of close to that upper face. Let me try moving this around so it won't come out. And then to remove this, you'll just pull that circlip and you'll be good to go. So that means I can just put this thing back on. Whoa. Pull it, spring tension. And there you go. We can turn this thing once again. Alright, got that fixed. So We'll have to turn this thing on and do a very informal FM alignment on it to bring the meter in line with what's actually being tuned to. So now let's get started on replacing the fuse lamps. This looks to me like it's going to be a fairly straightforward job. Looks like I just take out this screw, and then one more you probably can't see behind the transformer. Yep, that entire board is now loose. I'm going to undo the zip tie, and that should give us a lot of space. A little more flexibility. Yep, absolutely. That helped a lot. So look at that. Now all we do is just yank out the old ones. Easier to do with a flat head. Just kind of go like that on all of them. Go on like the edge. You don't want to shatter it if you can help it. There we are. Then we just take our new ones and just plop them each right in there. And there's that. Let's fold this back in and reinstall our fasteners. I think this might be one of my favorite fuse lamp changes I've ever done. I really love this design. You know, you've got the circuit board completely dedicated to this, and the screws are so easy to get to. There's enough space to kind of roll it out, and that housing is metal, which is very nice. So no brittle plastic like on a Marantz. Okay, so now we have these three and the tuner pointer. Tuner pointer looks like it's going to be an absolute royal pain in the butt. I don't know what that looks like just yet, but it looks like faceplate might need to come off for that. These three right here, we've got these nice oh, that was easy. If I'm lucky. I am lucky today. I am so lucky today. Wow, that was easy. So I just yanked those three. Yeah, you know what? I don't feel like it. I'm just going to leave them be because they all work. And I'll hold on to the lamps that I purchased just in case. That is super easy to replace when it's time. You know, if I were to replace it, you can either splice the wires or you can run the wires from your new lamps all the way to the original points on the board where they connect. It's not very complicated to replace those. You do need a soldering iron though. This tuner pointer light though, we connect right there and there. That's easy enough, but like, how is this mounted in the pointer? I can't even see what's going on in there. Yeah, whatever's going on there, it's going on the other side of the faceplate. So in order to replace that, the faceplate must come off. Does it come off? Yes. Okay, now we can see what exactly is happening. So here's what we've got here. This is reminding me of a Pioneer X3X type tuner needle. It would appear maybe we pull back this metal tab here and this metal tab here. This is where I break it, obviously. Okay, so I got that one bent. Let's see if I can, yeah, I think that's gonna be it. Let's see if I can come in here and not stab myself or the, yep, that was it. I think. Will it come out? Its new freedom? Okay, that wasn't so bad. It's actually really simple. Okay, so there's your lamp. So now that we know that that's pretty easy to get to, I'm wondering if I move it all the way over here and I remove the lamp housing, and they've given me a screw hole just for that. Looks like we have one missing or never installed screw. Kind of interesting. Is it just these two screws that hold the whole thing in? Yeah, it is. Okay, so this entire housing can lift out of the way or be manipulated at minimum. Let's see, can I tape this? take a piece of tape, put it there, and then do like this or something. Yeah, there, it's out of the way. So in there, the wire is glued to the thingy right there. You can see the tuner string, and there's some little ears holding everything in. So we'll have to fight the glue as we pull back those tabs, and then we're going to be able to slide our new lamp in, unless, oh, there we go. I just yanked the wires and broke the glue joint, and the string is still where it needs to be, so maybe in theory I can just fish the new wires straight through, and that'll be enough. I can desolder the wires right here, pull those out through that goofy little thing. So let's remember they go above the string and then through the back onto here. Okay, that shouldn't be too bad to remember. And I can just pull. I think I will snip the ends here so we don't have these guys break anything. And there, the old one is out. So now we can take this new one and fish it right in. Make sure our wires are long enough per the old one. Oh, we're about the exact same length. That's pretty nice. Thanks, Dave. And you can see we're kind of poking through there. Let's force the one and force the other, and there we are. Coming on through. And what did we say? We go above the string, through the back of this goofy hook thing, and then we can solder to here. I'll worry about that in a minute. For now, I think I want to make sure I get this correct. And I believe we were like so. So if you look in here, there's a little piece of red tape there to get the red color from the lamp, I guess. So I'll try to bend it such that we come out of here properly. And it looks like that's going to be perfect. So if I just come back in here like so and not break it, I think that's it. So if I take that, bend that back, and bend this one back also. I think that's it. I think that will do the job. So let's remove our Scotch tape, set this back in, and yeah, 2 screws holding this thing in, and install being mindful of the tuner string, and I had to clear the meters over here a little bit. They were a little tricky. Now I can take these wires and solder them to the thing. I'm just taking my tiny flathead and looping it around the post here. There's that. Alright, let's glue them on. And that second one's not mechanically secured, but you know, it'll be fine. Okay, let's test it. We go that way, and then we go this way. Excellent. That appears to be working as it should. So when you take the faceplate off, obviously it's a good opportunity to clean it, and we'll get to that, but also you can't forget what's happening inside of here. See, look what I just picked up with my rag. And there, again. Lots of dust likes to collect in these areas, so you always want to make sure you just run something through there just to get it cleaner. Doesn't need to be anything crazy. I mean, you look at this through tinted plastic or glass anyways. And then over here we can clearly see how bent and messed up this shaft is. You may have recalled watching the selector knob get moved around. Like, here, let me put this back on. Watch how that rotates. So that ain't right. And you actually can't clearly see it. It's bent down quite a bit, so when you bend stuff like this back, you risk breaking it, and it can be unnerving. I'm just going for it. If it got bent one way, it can get bent the other way, right? But I fear I may end up just breaking this if I'm not able to support this good enough. Sometimes if you put the knob on, that can help. But this bend is so bad, I'm not sure. Maybe I'll get some channel locks from downstairs and try those. I mean, maybe I should heat it first. Maybe I should look up a YouTube video on how to do this. Oh yeah, no, that is rough. That is really rough. Yeah, because when I do this, I'm just bending the entire thing. I'm bending the entire circuit board inside of there. It's really messed up. Like, that's awful. And normally it's not bent that way. Normally it's like bent about one of those and you can kind of fix that, but that's a hardcore bend. Unfortunately, I think the best course of action for this particular switch is remove it entirely, disassemble it so the shaft is out, and then just try to straighten the shaft on a lathe or something. Just so you can be heated carefully also. Or maybe I can bend each one independently of one another. Let's see. If I go like that. Holy shite. Yeah, see? That's what happens. And I hurt myself. Great. Alright, it's the following day, and this was obviously a dumb idea. But this thing is so bent that to fix it, I think the switch would have had to come completely out anyways. So what I'm going to do, actually, is I'm going to take the switch out. I'm going to disassemble it entirely and try to get that shaft out. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the scrap pile at work, see if we can find some proper aluminum stock to make a new one out of and see if it's possible. Before I do all of that, we need to pull this bottom cover so we can get to the solder joints where that switch is secured to the board. It might be easiest to just remove this board entirely. So it's a little tight in there. I tried pulling it the best I could, but I think I gotta do this to give me that extra little bit of room. Come on. What are we up against here? Okay. So there's that. Tuner string is still in place. Doesn't look like I've broken anything yet. I think we can get the Heiko on this now and just lift this right out. See, the key to removing components like that is patience. Alright, now what? So I really don't know what exactly to do here, but if I had to guess, I would think maybe, just maybe, this gold piece right here is locking it in place, and that if I were to remove that gold piece, then I would remove these long guys here, and to remove those, how would I do that? Probably start by undoing these extremely small nuts here, and that might allow all of that to kind of pull back. First, this is our detent here, so I think I just pushed this down, and then that can slide out, and then it's gonna shoot right at me and blind me. Okay, if I take this and go like that, yep, there's that. Then there's our little ball bearing. Okay, yep, there, that's out now. And yeah, earlier, you were looking at it more this way. I want to show you just how bent this thing is from this direction. It's very bad. I can't believe it didn't break, honestly. Alright, I'm going to try undoing these nuts. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so, nut and a lock washer on each side. Okay, then this guy comes out. Oh, and there we are. So then this whole thing slides right out. And then, how do I get this off? It would appear that this gold gear here might be press fit. Yeah, okay. I'm going to take these long shafts out. And then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a vise. I'm not going to clamp it though, I'm just going to set it in there. And then I'm going to see if I can there it is. Okay, so pressed off that gear. There we go. This slides off, and there's our shaft. This is doable in terms of machining. It's this knurled end that's going to be difficult though. Yeah, so I was going to try machining a new one of these, and then I thought, well, why not 3D print it? We've got a nice 3D printer at work that prints out of very strong carbon fiber reinforced material, and I think it's actually going to work. These knurled splines or whatever here fit this perfectly. I think I counted 18 splines in there, so just kind of figured that out. Obviously 3D modeled this with a program called Fusion 360, which is free for personal use. So let's put this back together here. So I sanded this quite a bit because I probably got the dimensions correct in the CAD per this, but when you 3D print stuff, there's stuff you got to account for. This doesn't turn super freely, it's got a slight interference, but that's okay. So then what happens is we press this guy back on, and we recall how that was kind of a pain in the butt to get off, but we just press this back on. And this is the part I'm most nervous about, because this is what actually locks the switch in, and I don't know if when we go to pull the knob off, if we're going to pull this entire shaft out with it. But that's something we'll need to just figure out here. Maybe I put a dab of super glue there and then move forward. Give it a few small taps. Did I break it? No. Okay, that should be a good enough starting point here. So now I think we go in like this. Let's see. Getting this all lined up will be interesting. So these guys thread in here, and then they go through the holes. They bottom out like so. And it appears we are moving the switch all the way. Oh, I forgot two important things. Forgot these guys. I was like, no wonder this thing feels so strange. Some of you are probably watching me and screaming at me through the YouTubes. Yeah, I think this is gonna make it much better. Well, would you look at that? There's your switch. Now I do feel a little twistiness in the shaft here, so if you were to twist this really hard one way or another, you'd be in trouble, but maybe that's for the next owner to figure out. I don't know. Until then, I don't have the tooling available to me to make this pattern in an aluminum shaft like that. So this here seems to work pretty nice. It's gonna work. That's interesting. I tightened it down, but I can't twist the switch. I wonder if tightening that thing a bunch had anything to do with that. See, I added a dab of super glue to this thing, and that seems to have really done a very poor number on the repair. May have to redo all of that work, unfortunately. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, because I'm just going to twist that shaft right off. Like, I rotate it this much. And then right there the switch went. Alright. It's got to come back out. Got to redo it. Alright, so I took it off in the board. You can see a little bit more clearly now where I messed up. So I added a glue joint right here to keep this gold piece in place, because this is what actually kind of goes between these two stops. If I grab this with pliers, you can see that it's important that we stop between these two stops right here with the little tab coming off the gold thing. But as you can see, when I twist this, some glue ran down and it's making it so we can barely turn this thing anymore. So what I gotta do is I gotta undo my glue joint that I created with the super glue, and just take these 3 pieces apart, sand them, clean them up, and then put them back together. And then what I think I'll do is, instead of using super glue, I think I'll just take the soldering iron and I'll just kind of melt the plastic right there. And that might create the lock I need to get this thing to stay where it needs to be. So we got the gold piece out. You may recall this just slid out last time, but it doesn't look like that's gonna happen. Well, it's becoming more clear that we're not going to be able to reuse this thing. So it's a good thing I printed a second one when I printed the first one. So we'll just have to destroy this, get it out. Okay. That's that. And then we will use the wrong tools, because I don't feel like going downstairs and grabbing the proper punches to do that correctly. But okay, we're back out. Now we just need to sand this guy down so that it fits in like the other one did. And I can't remember if I recorded that the first time, but all I'm doing is I'm just taking, I think this is 120 grit, just sanding it as needed. Probably get the hand drill, put it in the chuck and go like this, you know. Just sand it down so it fits. Alright, I'm back and I've got this thing in here. You can see it's quite easy to turn, but what the super glue was for was keeping this gold piece in place, because this is what goes on your detent, like the little ball bearing sits here. And the ball bearing, the pressure from that and the spring here, it was kind of backing that piece out. So I tried gluing it, but the glue got into here, and that's what made it spin so horribly. So what I'm thinking might work is if I just take the soldering iron and just try to melt it in that area. So I'm going to see how this stuff melts. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. It actually looks like it might work pretty well. So there's that end right there. And I'll go right here. That might be pretty good. I'm just going to try to lightly push it out. Yeah, that's actually quite solid. Instead of calling it good, I think I'll little bit more, just for good measure. I mean, I guess this is 3D printed material after all, so it's designed to do very well at a certain temperature, around maybe 300 Celsius or so. So yeah, I like that quite a bit. That's going to save us. So I'm going to throw this back in the unit with the rest of these little pieces here, and then it'll probably work pretty well. Okay, it's back together. Let's see if we can turn it. Oh yeah, look at that. Just 2 fingers. That's a lot better. I'll call that a win. Now, where were we? Gotta put this thing back together again. Yeah, it's been a few weeks since the bulk of this video was recorded. I'm pretty excited to actually test the lamps for the first time. It's been weeks, so let's get to it. Since we've been plenty of places, we will use the dim bulb for this. We'll have that turned on, then we'll throw this power button, and wow, we've got a lit up tuner pointer and a fully illuminated dial face. That's pretty nice. And no bright bulb from the dim bulb, which means nothing is broken in theory. We do still need to align this pointer after what we've done back there, but it looks like we're fairly close. We're not terribly far off, at least. And yeah, it's still nice and solid in there with that E-clip, circlip that I added. Not going anywhere. So I was getting ready to clean this faceplate, and I noticed there was some dust kind of trapped between this glass and the aluminum. And I wasn't going to take this thing off, but I think I'm going to. So these hex nuts here, they're basically just finger tight, but it looks like they're a 10 millimeter. This is an 8 millimeter. Yep, they're 8 millimeter. They just look big to me. I'm used to looking at stuff in the context of an automobile. So we'll carefully remove these guys so we can clean the glass separate. Then we'll have to put the faceplate back together. Oh, they're bolts. Yeah, definitely don't over tighten that. That looks like M3 or something. That would be very, very easy to over tighten and snap right off of there. And this one just spins freely. Wonder what that could be about. Ah, there is an actual nut glued to the back of this thing. There's like a little bit of glue there. It's supposed to stay put like on the other 3, but on this one that is not what's happening. So I'll just need to hold that in place while I do this. Yep. And then of course we got that guy to take out. 2 Phillips head screws. There's that. And we've got our glass. And it is actual glass. It's like 3/16 thick glass, which is, it's kind of heavy. It's very substantial. Pretty nice, honestly. It's kind of interesting. Between the faceplate and the glass, we have these like rubber things. They are completely disintegrated. And I think that's pretty important because you don't want this glass right on the aluminum potentially vibrating and making noise. So I'll have to think of something to replace that with. Maybe some 3D printed part, maybe. I don't know. Another interesting thing I noticed about this faceplate is there's further evidence of that shaft being bent. I don't know if the light's going to reflect correctly in the video. I can't see. But this is pushed in pretty good right here. On the back, you can still see it also. I think it'd be fairly high risk to try hammering that out and flattening it, but my worst instincts are telling me to give it a go. So of course I forgot to hit record, but I took this hammer and put it back here and just kind of flattened it out a little bit, and that helped quite a bit. The speakers switch area was also really bad, so if I reflect it in the light just right, you can see over here on the selector part, it's still a little bit distorted. I'm never really going to get that perfect, but on the speaker side here, there was distortion there, and now there's barely any. So pretty happy with how that turned out. Just a few hits of the standard hammer. Another thing I'll need to do is this faceplate is built in a few different pieces. This one is coming loose, and it's actually supposed to be glued in place. So just a quick little glue joint along there should solve that problem after a nice cleaning. You know, I gotta say this thing's looking pretty dang sharp. Let's see how it looks with the lights turned on. It would help if I turned everything on, right? Hey, that's pretty nice. I like that. Let's get a little less light in here so you can really see it. There we are. It looks pretty good at night, not gonna lie. In real life, it's got a much more incandescent, yellowish white look to it. Obviously, because it's incandescent bulbs in there. It looks really nice. It looks really, really cool. So you can see we've got our high-end FM antenna hooked back up here. We were never able to do this before. We were never able to easily go through the stations here. And the radio tunes to stuff great. So even if I turn the FM muting off, then we get that. Everything's quiet. Alright, so here's how I'm going to handle the tuner alignment. So I've loosened these screws here so that the string moves independently of the cap. So I know what's playing on the station 94.7 out here. So I'm going to set my meter to 94.7, and then I'm going to move the cap by pulling this gear here until I get 94.7. Okay, so yeah, this is what's playing on 94.7 right now, so I'm just gonna bring it in. So now I'll tighten this one screw, and we can rotate it to get to the other one. And now let's see, can we tune to that song? Yep, there you go. Close enough.
To recognize the blessings.
So there we are. We've got the tuner aligned, the string system aligned with the cap. And again, that is not an FM alignment. An FM alignment is far more involved than that, but it is a good enough thing for us today, because if you recall, when we tried tuning to a station before, this wasn't even attached properly, and you couldn't do anything at all. So the fact that we're here is awesome. Very nice. Turn on loudness. Yep, I guess that nice vintage sound. Yeah.
You grad?
Everything's clean. It was not clean before, and now it is. Gotta give our dusty transformer a nice little wipe before we say goodbye, though, of course. But before we do the power test, we should check DC offset and bias. So DC offset, that's easy. We just go on the speaker terminals and we see, do we have 0 volts? That there looks really good to me. Let's check the next one, the right channel. And that is once again absolutely perfect. So we love to see that. Then for the power amplifier bias, it says to connect a voltmeter between the ID and CT terminals. So you can kind of see it for the right channel. We're going to go on ID right here. You don't want to short this one to anything because that'd be bad. Okay, so there we're on ID. And then CT is the one next to it. I've got CT. And then we adjust that one back there for 20 millivolts. So we're at 6 right now. It wants 20. So let's see here. I took it down. Oh, geez. Super touchy. So at the bottom of the rotation, about nothing happens. And then you come up and suddenly everything happens all at once. So I don't like that at all. This pot should probably be replaced, honestly. I think I'm going to leave it here at 12. Because if I go near 20, it gets really unstable. Well, let's see here. If I turn the amp off, and then I spray it with this stuff, and then go like this. Does that fix anything, or does it make it even worse? Alright, so I've got that turned down. Turn the amp back on. And we'll see if we can bring that up. See if we can get it to behave a little better. Not really. Maybe a little bit better, but not much. Okay, so then we do the same thing on the other channel. There's the CT and ID pins. We just grab those. Okay, I've got it. And that one's at 6 also. So I'll take this guy and yeah, these are glued in place from the factory. See, I just broke that factory glue joint. And this one is also quite sensitive. So I think I'll give it a similar treatment with the F5 here. Okay, turn it back on. Bring it back up. Yeah, she's pretty enthusiastic. You know what? I'm gonna put it at 10, actually. I'm not comfortable with how that pot's working, so I'm gonna leave that at 10. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna adjust the other one the exact same way. And there you go. 10 for each of them. I like it. And we'll double check our DC offset since we messed with that. They are slightly related. On this channel, still nothing. And the other one, let's see. Got up to 4. Oh no. That's fine. It's perfectly fine. Alright, we've got it all hooked up here. Let's go ahead and get 1000 hertz going through. What do we got here? Alright, so it's working. So, as we come up, we're looking at the left channel here. I think this is rated at 27 watts per channel RMS. So, yep, we're looking at the right channel. Left channel is running. Let's lay them over one another just to make sure that we're together, right? So there, the channels are laid over one another. And let's bring it up. There you go. Got a little bit of bouncing oscillation or whatever. They're not perfectly together, but it's not like the worst thing I've ever seen. Okay, so on the left channel, pushing about 15.3 volts. And then on the right channel, let's check that one out. Right channel, about the same thing, 15.2. And that comes out to be about 29 watts per channel. So that would mean that this thing is in spec. It is hitting the power rating it is supposed to be hitting. So that is it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm pretty thrilled with how this thing turned out after spending 2 years in my closet. So what am I going to do with this next? I don't know, but I think this is the perfect candidate for maybe getting somebody into vintage audio for the first time. A gateway drug, if you will. I really enjoy the white face with the red dial pointer, and this cleaned up glass just makes it look really nice. So never thought I'd like this thing so much, but yeah, here we are. Now I know. Okay, I will see you in the next one. Before I go, I would like to talk YouTube at you for a minute. You may have noticed that for the past 4 or 5 years, I have released my videos at 8 o'clock Eastern on Fridays every time. The main reason I do this is, one, hopefully some of you notice that and get excited around that time of day, but two, it provides me with accurate analytics so I can see how videos are doing without having to worry about that variable, like they're released at the same time on the same day of the week every single time. Now obviously that means I don't just upload the video right at 8 o'clock Eastern on a Friday. The video is done a day or two before that actually happens. So this whole time I have the video uploaded and it's just sitting there, and I'm waiting until 8 o'clock Eastern on Friday to release it to the public. Recently, YouTube has offered new functionality to creators called memberships. And obviously, I am not a full-time restorer or content creator. This is just a hobby for me. However, the one thing I am able to offer is members first viewing of my videos. This is something that has always been a thing, and just now YouTube has actually given us the functionality to give a special group of people, those who want to spend $1 a month to support Fix-It, they can see those videos right before they are released to the public. This is what members first means if you see that on my videos. I've gotten some blowback from this. People have accused me of putting up a paywall to see my content. You can only see my content if you pay to see it. That is not true. I am just offering something that takes advantage of something I've always been doing, per se. If you want to see stuff, the minute I've got it uploaded to the YouTube servers, for $1 a month, that's what you can get. And that's a great way to support the channel if you are interested in doing such a thing. At the time of this recording, I have 5 members who support this channel, so thank you so much to those 5 people. I'm going to try to make a habit of thanking you all specifically more often at the end of these videos. So I just wanted to let you all know that that's what that is, that's how that's working, and that's something that you can do if you want to. And while we're talking YouTube, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to my channel. It helps a lot, and I would appreciate it very much. Alright, that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching. I have something fairly exciting for the channel sitting right behind the camera here. I won't show you yet. I might tease it in a community post, but until then you'll just have to wait and see what that is. Alright, thanks again. I will see you in the next one.